What's poppin' today, YouTube? I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I hope we're all copacetic out there today. Today's video is going to be a final review slash my final thoughts on Marathon. Now, this is coming from a person who has been playing a lot of competitive games for most of their life. I have played Valorant for thousands of hours. I've played Call of Duty for 10,000 hours. I have a few well-versed games under my belt. So when it comes to what I'm saying, it's coming from a place of somewhat experience. You don't have to believe me. You can do what you want, bruh. But I'm just trying to make sure that this game is going to be something that is an enjoyable experience for everyone, or for most people who pick it up. I'm not trying to have it be a game for everyone in that aspect, because a game for everyone is a game for no one, right? So I feel like these things in that Marathon need to be worked on in order for it to be the game it needs to be, right? I had a whole list, and we're gonna get straight to it. My first overall thoughts of the game: I think the game is a 7 to like maybe an 8. The game's an 8. The game is an 8 when you're playing with your friends, and you're playing with not even just your friends, but coordinated individuals and people, like if you're fill queuing, people who are just coordinated and like to talk and like to use the mic. If you're running into people who don't like to use the mic, you're probably not going to have the best time, but that's a part of the way that these games are, and you're rolling the dice. You kind of signed up for that when you bought this game, the aspect of I'm going to have to be fill queuing sometimes, and some of these raids are going to go really, really, really bad, and I'm going to have a bunch of dry spells. Now, the way that I think the game can also fix those dry spells is by having the systems in play be adjusted a little bit to where losses don't feel so negative. As a regular person, or someone who doesn't get paid to play video games, it is a very hard thing to get onto this game and enjoy it without getting off after the first 2 raids or 3, right? You're trying to get these long gaming sessions out of us, but the majority of the player base isn't doing that. There's an article that came out where about 17% of the player base right now has over 100 hours. I'm a part of that, and that's not a big number. I mean, it's bigger than other games, but it could be also a lot bigger. I'm thinking this game honestly could hold around 30% to 40% of the player base that plays over 100 hours. That's what it should be at right now, given the fact that the player numbers aren't too high. So that shows and tells me that the game's systems get really, really, really good after 100 or after 80 hours in the game, which is not a good thing. That's not something the game should be bragging about. The game should feel good off rip and then just continuously get better the longer you play, not feel like trash or feel bad when you first start playing it. I think the gameplay and mechanics are about like an 8 out of 10. It's a Bungie game. It's gonna feel good to shoot people. It feels really good to shoot people, but there are other things in the gameplay meta that need to be fixed in order for it to feel better, because certain maps definitely extrapolate the meta, and it makes it wow. It makes you open your eyes to it. I feel like the user-friendly experience is about like a 4 out of 10. It needs a lot of work. The onboarding, the whole tutorial system, explaining what the shells are. Even when you first load the game up and they hit you with this crazy cutscene, they don't even let you get to your settings first. That's a big problem. A lot of the time, players want to get accustomed to the systems that you have in play by looking at them, not by being bombarded with flashing colors and basically indiscriminate speech. Like, you can't even tell what they're saying, right? I think the maps are about a 7.5 out of 10, because they, one, aren't enough. There's not enough maps. People can say, hey, you don't want there to be too many maps at launch and overwhelm the player base. At the same time, if you're only gonna have 3 to 4 maps off launch, those maps need to be absolute bangers. And I think that Outpost is a banger. Dire Marsh needs a lot of work. It's not like it's terrible, but it needs work, man. And Perimeter is it's just bad. Perimeter needs a very deep underground update. I feel like the map on Perimeter needs to have every single POI connect through underground tunnels and systems and rooms, because the upper floor, I get it, it's fine, it's for the beginning player base. Hell, they can honestly make 2 different versions of Perimeter and have one version of it be like basically a second map underground, right, for the people who are more experienced, because Perimeter is the entry level map. That is the map that you're supposed to learn the systems and gameplay and run around and figure things out. So you don't want that map to be too hard and too complicated for your player base. But at the same time, that map has POIs that are so far separated from each other that you end up spending half the match running from POI to POI chasing fights, and then you end up really either dying or running out the match with only your mission done and not really anything else. But that's also an experience that I've been having. Not everyone is gonna have that same experience. I think that Dire Marsh definitely needs an adjustment when it comes to the fog. It just doesn't feel good. I think the fog needs to be rolling in and out more frequently and more smoothly. You know, I don't like that when you run in there with thermal, you might honestly get a sunny map and it makes it pointless. But if you also run into Dire Marsh with a thermal, you're gonna be good. Like, you can't play Dire Marsh without a thermal. Now, that is hyperbolic, but it's also pretty true, because you can do good without a thermal. You know, if you're coordinated, you have a team with you and you guys are making plays together. But if you're regular and you're just trying to play the game and it's, you know, you're just trying to play the game, not having a thermal definitely shows, and it makes it a lot harder. A lot harder. Now, I think that we also need way more shells. The base number of shells that they gave us in the game isn't enough. I think that they should have given us 1 to 2 more shells for the base level of the game, just so that we could coast on those shells for a lot longer. The player base really hasn't gotten too deep when it comes to the skill level of the shells and like the skill expression of these shells, but there's only so much they can do when it comes to the shells themselves already in the game. You know, we've seen half the clips that they can actually perform. Now, yes, you know, good players are going to do good things and show crazy clips of them doing crazy stuff. But as far as it coming to the average player, which is what's going to bring you money, what's going to support the game, the shells aren't really that, there's not that many, and they don't really do too much or anything different. Like, they need to spice it up a little bit more, or at least give more variety, because after about 50 hours and you played each shell for about 10 raids, you kind of get it and you pick the one you like and you stick to it, unless you are forced to use something else because you found a core and it was a good core and you want to use the core because you don't want to sell it, right? That's really the only reason to use other shells, because Destroyer's a must pick, Thief's a must pick, and so is Triage. Now, yes, you can find success with using other characters, but as far as like the average person's going, if you're running in there and you run in there with that specific like dynamic, you're gonna be good. You're gonna wipe the lobby. You guys will be chilling, you know, at least for the most part, you know. But when it comes to these other thing that I think they should add is a detailed stats page, guys. For a game that is centered around PvP, I don't understand why it doesn't have a stats page. I can't see how many kills I have. I can't see how many downs I have. I can't see how much player damage I've done. I can't see how much USC damage I've done, or how many bots I've killed. I can't see the types of bots I've killed. I can't even see how many items or consumables I've looted or used or looted. I can't see how many valuables I've picked up. Like, that is very important in a game that is centered around PvP, which this game is. It has a ranked system, yet I don't have a detailed stats page. Another thing to add as well to the detailed stats page is a detailed kill board, like, or death screen, right? When you experience shell death, I want to be able to see what did damage to me, how much damage did it do, what gun did they have, what armor were they using, where did my bullets land, where did their bullets land. You know, a game that is like this, you know, it should have that. Tarkov has it, Delta Force has it, Hunt Showdown has it. Oh, well, not Hunt, I don't think Hunt has it, but a few of these other, Arena Breakout Infinite has it. Like a lot of these PvP centered high stakes looting games have a detailed stats page when you die, so you know if it was a cheater or not. I don't know why they never thought of that, you know. And one of the things I thought about why they didn't is because they know that people die to bullshit in this game. Double barrels, one-shot snipers, and a whole bunch of BS, nade spam, all sorts of stuff. I think that they didn't put it in because that would show what the meta is, but it also could be something that they just didn't think about, which is hard for me to say because a lot of the things that I'm adding on this list, guys, are things that should be in the game for something that took 7 years. I know this lifespan of this game in development was not the greatest. I understand that they had head leadership. He had gotten out of there. He was a bad guy. I understand that the company has been going through some serious expenditures when it comes to costs, layoffs, and overall community sentiment. People ain't been really rocking with Bungie, you know? Them taking away content, them not giving good content, them literally kind of killing Destiny 2 to make Marathon. I understand that this game hasn't had the best development cycle, but we all know that the streamers, for the most part, at least a lot of them, or I can only hope, this is common sense here, I'm thinking that they did this. A lot of them say they did this, but they can also say that a lot of things and be lying. I know that, but they gave Bungie like feedback, man, and telling them different things, but it seems like it never got added, and I don't understand why. I don't, for a game that took this long to develop, and they ended up delaying it for 6+ months to make sure that they got rid of the bad art that they put in. Not bad art, sorry, not bad art. Auntie Real is a great artist. She's a great artist, but the art that they stole, it's like, dude, I don't get why they didn't add some of these systems in here. Detailed stats page, player death, like loading screen, like, I don't know, more maps, more events on the maps. Like, why do we only have a few events for each map? Like, why are there no nighttime modes for the maps? I don't get it. I don't understand why also we don't have more like life on the map. Different animals, like we have a lobster and a cat that disappears when you get close to it. There's no deer, there's no bison, there's no wildlife of any type, of any alien wildlife. There's really nothing. The planet feels empty besides just you and the robots. It really does. I think that we also need deeper customization for runner shows. This is Bungie we're talking about, and they dropped some of this is like the worst like customization they've ever had in a video game that they've ever made. There's no customization for these runner shells in this game. Why can't we just swap different heads and arms and legs and chest pieces to these different, come on, man. Like, you buy a bundle for a character and it's just that one skin across the entire thing, and you can't mix and match and add different little sorts of armor pieces on top of them. Come on, that's all we want. If you guys want us to spend money in your game, we love your art style, that's proven. We love the art style. If you want us to buy things, you gotta make it worthwhile. This is Bungie. Come on, guys. You guys are the reason why people want more customization in other games, so get it right. Come on, we gotta add some of that. Another thing I would love to see, this is more or less a cherry on top, this is just like something extra. They honestly should add clans and barracks of some sort where you can get your crew together, and you guys can basically, when you're running with your clan members, you get increased rep for all of your factions. You get, if you're running ranked, you get increased rank for all of your for your rank. You get, if you're running it on cryo, like, I don't know, maybe you get a higher chance of finding keys. Like, there should be an incentive for running it with your friends, since they already make it to where the game, feels better with friends. They need to incentivize people to talk more and to be more interactive with each other, right? Like, if you extract a raid, if you leave a raid with filling, right? Like, you're a solo and you filled into trios or whatever, they should allow it to where if you extract completely with your entire team, you get increased rep. You should get increased rep for being solo by yourself, running it with other people. They also truly need to redesign and restructure the bots in solo and duo queue. I think the reason I haven't had the greatest time is because of that. Now, if I had a better time in solo, if I actually could run solo by myself and not have it be a camp fest with invisibility, then I probably wouldn't be having a lot of these issues as well. Because if I'm forced to play with people I don't know and don't want to play with, I'm already at the negative. I'm working in the negative, trying to find a good experience in this, because I'm playing with people I don't want to be playing with, or they're doing things that I don't want them to do, or they want me to do things I don't want to do. There's a bunch of friction there, and there shouldn't be friction when I'm trying to have a good time. When people in general are trying to have a good time, there's going to be friction. That's why people walk away, right? And I think that they should also add a thing where there should only be one self-res on you at one time inside of raids. I don't understand why they're allowing us to stack multiple self-reses. That's just dumb. It's stupid. You come on, man. It allows for such a cheap playstyle that it really just makes PvP fighting a battle of attrition and who pushes who first, who sees who first. There's no real way for counterplay to be involved in the current meta with what's going on. Now, I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever, but I mean, bro, it makes it kind of hard to load up when you don't have anyone else to load with. So that's why it needs to be adjusted. I think that we need more bot variety, more world variety when it comes to that. The bots need to be either differently colored or differently designed. There should be some real distinction between these bots that is more visual than it is physical. Yeah, the closer I get, the more I can see that there's differences in the bots, like the USC recruit, and when you go to the commander and the grenadier and the scout and then the bosses, they need better visual design language when it comes to these robots, because genuinely you cannot tell any bot from another bot unless it has a different color shield on it. Okay, they all look the same, and the only bots that truly look different are the red bosses, because they're red and they have gold armor on. So yeah, they look very different. And I think that the knife needs a very big nerf. You need to nerf the lunge distance at least. That thing should be point blank, period. That's it. That knife should only be competing with the double barrel for when it comes to close range battles, right? And that's kind of why I think they have the knife doing so much damage, is because of the double barrel. You can't have a double barrel that double pumps people when you're 10 meters away from them without having a knife that can lunge at you from 10 meters. I kind of understand that, but at the same time, the knife should not be lunging from 10 meters. It's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous, and it's one-shotting people. Yeah, you can say, oh, knife builds are cool. That's kind of what they wanted to go for, build customization. You can build out for a knife build that has one-shot knife capabilities, but you have to put all sorts of stuff on it. You really don't, though. You can two-shot, one-shot knife people without having the build for it. That's the problem. I think that they need to basically make the knife where if you actually want to do a knife build, you have to build for it. You have to truly build for it. If you don't build for it, it's not going to be one-tapping and two-tapping people. The knife should take 3 hits even on white armor. I don't care. I mean, you can argue with me about it in the comments. I would love to hear someone say that the knife should take 2 hits. That makes sense. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. The only reason it makes sense is because of the double barrel being that strong. So nerf the double barrel and nerf the knife. Allow for close quarter combat to be more or less actually playable, and you can play around it, because the minute you get within 15 meters of another team, if you have another shotgun or a Mizraya or anything, if you have anything close range in that way, or a knife, you're good. You just stab them to death, pop a bubble shield. And I think that's another thing that got exposed, was the bubble shield, nade spam meta, the self-revive spam, the thermal spam, the shotgun spam. It's really, that's what the meta is. And when you go on the other bigger maps, it is just thermals galore, and you can't see where you're getting shot from half the time, and you're getting sniped from hundreds of meters away. And I think that the tutorial needs a better onboarding experience so it's not so jarring. It really does, because that's really why the player base is what it is. People who loaded this game up got shit on, and then they didn't want to continue, and I can't blame them for it. Like, the game literally feels like it doesn't want you to play it. It doesn't, until you spent 100 hours plus in the game. That's when it goes, yeah, here's your time to start having fun. It really is the reason why people have quit. Like, they need to have a better onboarding experience. They need to add maybe better modes. Like, I think that adding different modes would be the key solution to allow people, when they go on bad runs and go on dry spells, it would allow them to at least just get familiar with the systems at play. They need to have a 3v3v3 mode like in Delta, or a 6v6 mode, maybe maybe a 5v5 mode of some sort. They need to have people be able to quickly get accustomed and use the systems that they have at play in order for them to actually feel successful in runs, because when you die the way you do in this game, it feels more or less like it's punishing you than it actually is you progressing slowly. They need to truly rethink these extract before you complete missions as well, because in a game that is really hard like this, the exfil to complete the mission challenges are really bad. And I think that if you're gonna have them in this game, they shouldn't be prio missions, because how are you people gonna get through the story? I think that they should be extra missions, you know, like prio plus. It shouldn't be the main way that you've fed the story. I get it, they went through a lot of systems to try to make sure that these missions are cool and you do certain things like the Mida lockdown and, you know, all sorts of things with Traxxas when you have to like take this here and take it there. These fetch quests are butt and they don't feel good. They need to change something about them, because they don't feel good having you run across the map just to die with the mission item you have. And you know, the people that kill you could care less. They don't even take the mission item, they leave it. So there's always that aspect. But I hope you guys were able to enjoy my review of Marathon. I've been having, I'd say, a decent time with the game. If you were to ask me if you should buy the game, I'd say if you like hardcore games, then yes. If you're someone who doesn't have at least 4 hours to like play a day about this one game, then don't buy it, because you're gonna get left behind pretty decently fast and the game isn't gonna hold your hand. This game has been a great experience, but I've gotten to the point where I've played so much of it that I gotta chill. I gotta wait for them to do something different, because the game don't feel good right now for me after this many hours as a solo player. You know, I'm giving it a chance, but the game's good. It's not the best thing ever, but it's also not the worst thing ever. As an overall opinion, I think that you shouldn't pay for it. The game should go free to play. I've been saying it for a while, but if the game doesn't go free to play, wait for it to go on sale, because it will. I'm gonna almost guarantee this game's gonna be on Steam summer sale, so just wait a few more months and the game should be yours. It's fun though, I'm not gonna say it's not. I hope you guys were able to enjoy the video. Comment below, let me know if any of my talking points were good or bad or valid or not. I mean, this is just what I think the game is. Kari out.